Anybody that has been a part of putting on a competition, anybody that has been ahead of judging in a competition across the board, this is going to be a very uncomfortable thing to listen to today.
Yes.
And I am here for it. And you need to be too.
Yes.
Let's go.
The most important thing is quality judges. Do not pick someone to judge if they are a picky eater.
So you have to judge something on its own merits and whether it's executed correctly, not whether you like the taste of it or not.
Okay, listen to y'all. Come in quick. Y'all come in right quick. Okay, I need y'all to listen closely. If you're on Spotify, Amazon Music, listen closely. If you're watching us on YouTube, I need you to come in close to the camera right now. I don't give a shit what you like or don't like.
Is it right for you to knock off points on my burger because you don't like mayonnaise?
Nope.
Correct. Because is mayonnaise an expected ingredient on a burger?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It is.
All right.
Wait. Time out.
What's that?
It's gonna get hot.
Oh. Well, I spat on that because we stirring the pot tonight, baby.
Yep.
So I want to share. I want to just come up and share and be honest about something. I took a picture of that terrible dish. Can I share it?
Share it.
Please do. Yes. Oh, I didn't know that you, man, I've been wanting to see it because I didn't get to taste it.
And welcome to Stirring the Pot Podcast, a podcast all about discussing controversial food topics, historical aspects of food, pretty much everything else food and cooking related. Let me start by introducing my co-hosts. First up, we have Mr. Barbecue Brand, our resident pitmaster and a past guest on Food Network's Barbecue USA. Welcome, Barbecue Brand.
Hi, what it do? What's cooking, everybody? It's your boy Barbecue Brand. I am Barbecue. I'm your favorite pitmaster's favorite pitmaster. You know what it is. Let's get it going.
Next up, we have Mr. Brandon D., our resident food science nerd, Southern food expert, and boiled crawfish master. Welcome, Brandon D.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Going to be another fun night.
Off the muscle.
I am KCP, your host and cookie queen. Tonight on the podcast, we will be discussing a subject that has been a very, very hot topic in the past and fairly recent too. Tonight's episode is all about competition judging. Whether it's for barbecue or anything over rice, we will unpack all the controversy tonight. How y'all doing tonight?
I'm going to tell you right, there's going to be some bullshit talking here. Nothing more to say than that.
I'm going to tell you like this, okay? Listen up. Anybody that has been a part of putting on a competition, anybody that has been ahead of judging in a competition across the board, this is going to be a very uncomfortable thing to listen to today.
Yes.
And I am here for it. And you need to be too.
Yes.
Let's go.
All right. So, I guess we'll start from the beginning, guys. What is the beginning? Let's say we are preparing for a competition. What does a cook team need to do to prepare for a competition? Let's just start from that angle.
You need to look at the venue that you're doing, what you're cooking, and then you got your crowd that you're cooking for and where you're at. You know.
So, all about
you don't want to.
One major thing is you have to figure out whether this competition involves feeding the public or not.
Yeah.
Typically, barbecue isn't that. You don't feed the public with barbecue.
No, you don't feed the public at barbecue competitions. But you don't have to tell people your judges what you're cooking. You're turning in for a category now. When you do black pot, open thing, anything over rice, open competitions. Let's say it's I don't know, a burger competition, a hot dog competition. You need to ask yourself, am I going to be able to explain what my burger is, what my hot dog is, what my dish is, what I'm cooking, anything over rice? Because when they say anything, you can cook anything. And the question is, are your judges well trained enough to actually recognize different types of food?
Well, we'll definitely get into the judging part of this.
Yeah. So, but I mean, so you have to think about what can people recognize? What can are they going to recognize this? Am I going too out of the box? You know, that's important.
So, Barbecue Brand, when you're preparing for a barbecue competition, what are some of the main things that kind of you go through to prepare?
So, the thing about preparing for a competition, whether it's barbecue, whether it's any competition, really is really determining what do I need to be successful. So that goes into, how much is everything that I'm cooking going to cost? All of my supplies, all of my food, all of those things that's going to make me successful that day. How much does that cost? I have to look at that. I also have to look at the time when it comes to preparing for these competitions. If there's ingredients that need to be prepared ahead of time, there's always prep ahead of time that needs to be done. So there's time that goes into it. There's a lot of effort. You have to plan all of those things out. So it's not one of those things where, okay, I decide I'm going to do a competition on Saturday and it's Thursday and I don't have anything together. It's usually a week plus in advance that you're preparing for these competitions. So money, time, energy, the day of might be blood, sweat, tears, arguments. All of those things play a factor into making someone else's event successful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we are a piece. We are a integral piece of someone else's event.
Absolutely.
We're the cook team, right? Us and whoever else, however many other teams you can get together. We're an important part of making that event successful, especially if you're feeding the public. So there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah, whatever you think your dish is going to be, whatever it is, you have to make sure you can execute it with the equipment you have. Mm-hmm. So your equipment planning,
that's a good point.
How much gas you're going to bring if you got propane, how much gas you're going to bring if you got charcoal, how much charcoal you're going to bring. Mm-hmm. My thing is bring extra. You never know what's going to happen. What's your plan to pivot if something goes wrong, if something, if something doesn't work?
You're
going to have a backup plan.
What you're saying?
What you say, B? What you always say when it comes to planning and having backups?
2 is 1, 1 is none.
That's it.
I mean,
that's a fact.
When you can get a fresh propane tank and that thing could be faulty. Like there's a valve inside where you turn it when you screw your regulator on. If that valve doesn't kick off, you have no gas. Yeah. I mean, straight up. And sometimes they go bad. Sometimes people abuse these things, and the valve's bad. So you can't open the valve with the thing, and there's nothing that you can do other than get another tank.
Yeah.
Yep. I've had it happen.
So you have to think, if you have water, do you have power? I mean, we were at crawfish competition 2 weeks ago. We didn't have any water, and we were doing washing crawfish the old school way, and it sucked.
Yeah.
Sucked.
Mm-hmm. To say the least.
I say if you're playing in a crawfish competition, anybody, make sure you have access to fresh running water because people are going to need a lot of it.
Yeah, that just seems like it's a given, but
Well, I mean,
who am I?
I don't know, and I could say a lot of things, but might be nice. There are some there's some things. There are some serious. I'm the safety guy. There are some serious safety concerns about last competition. I'm a cop. I'm saying, dude, you cannot have the general public climbing inside an ice truck that is 6 feet off the ground. That is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You cannot do that.
What's even more ridiculous is that the lift was used later on in the day.
Well,
everyone was going in and out of the truck.
I mean, I don't operate freight trucks, so I don't know where the lift is. I was like, it makes sense that it has one, but man, like get guys climbing inside that thing, I could tell you that was an accident. Thank God nobody got hurt.
Yeah,
because somebody could easily got hurt. You cannot be doing that kind of stuff. I mean, like, that's tall, that's above 6 feet, that's above 3 feet is considered work at height. So, that's not safe.
So
safety moment of the day.
Safety moment of the day.
So just to be very, very clear, we offer constructive criticism before anybody gets their panties in a twist, right? So we're giving you some nuggets here, some constructive criticism that will help from an outsider's perspective, and kind of we insiders too. I mean, because we were cooking the competition, right? So if this episode is seen by those people, here you go. Here are things to improve on.
It's the thing about it is you it's a big competition. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of moving parts. I get it. But whoever's operating the ice truck needs to have an understanding how to get the crawfish off, because having people climb the gate of the truck is over my head. I walk up to the truck and the gate's right here, and I'm 5'10", so the gate's 6 feet off the ground. You fall from that height, man. Like, look, I'm not saying not everybody's in the best shape. We're not all spring chickens. You fall from that height, it's no joke. So
yeah,
I'm just saying, like, you need to make sure that people know how to operate the equipment to get stuff out of there. Because the worst thing that could happen is somebody get hurt at a competition. I mean, that's just going to dampen your whole event.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, it's true.
It is.
And I just don't want anybody to get hurt, because you slip, you fall. I mean, 6 feet is that's a long way down, man. That's you're gonna hurt something. You're not getting up from that one quick.
No.
I think there's a lot of things, just to kind of piggyback off of that. I think there's I'm using all of my little corporate words now. I had a presentation earlier. Y'all excuse me. There's things that whenever you go to put on something of this magnitude, I think there's things that most people deem as being very important, and other things get kind of pushed to the side, and you end up saying, "Oh, you know what? We're gonna figure it out. It'll be fine. We'll figure it out." Some things you can't just figure out. Some things need to be planned. Other things you can figure out. We can work it out that day of. It's not that big of a deal. Climbing in an ice truck, 40 plus, almost 50 teams climbing in an ice truck to get crawfish down multiple times throughout the day.
Yeah.
That's not something you figure out, bro. That's something that you figure out way before we get there.
Yeah.
That step on that truck is literally 12 inches wide. That's the step, and then you have to get your leg up a good ways up. It's not right at the ground. The step is a good 3 feet off the ground that you have to get your foot in, and then get up, climb up this thing. There's ice all over the floor. Are these people wearing? Are you familiar with walking? Are you wearing shoes? People wearing flip flops, Crocs. That's not a good combination at all.
Yeah.
No.
Me of course.
No one got hurt.
Yeah, me. I'm wearing hiking shoes because that's just me. I'm like, I'm gonna wear some shoes where I got some grip no matter where I go. So it wasn't a big deal, but it's 6 feet's a long way off, guys. It's a high.
A 3 foot step is half of my height, more than half of my height. Okay, that's like impossible for someone. That's impossible. No matter how flexible I may or may not be, that is like. Unless I get a running start.
Wait, look. We want to talk about OSHA regulations. You're not allowed to work over 36 inches without restraint. 30. That's 3 feet. So 3 feet.
Seconds. Safety moment of the day.
If you're working over 3 feet in the air, you need to be restrained, and that's well over 3 feet. And the thing about it is, it's an ice truck. The crawfish truck is made to load up to a loading dock. A loading dock is 6 feet off the ground, so it's not a big deal. The truck backs up. You're able to unload your stuff, so nobody has to climb in and out of the truck. But this needs to be thought out a little bit better, because all it takes is one slip. Somebody going down that step, one slip, and their leg gets stuck in that foot in the ladder, and they fall over. It's bad news, dude.
Yeah.
And this is not an episode to shit on that ice truck.
No, it's not.
But this leads directly into what we're talking about as far as putting an event together
Yeah.
and thinking about all of the pieces that matter exponentially. Like,
Right.
you have to put thought into certain things when it comes to competition. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what this episode is about. That's
Right,
just
yeah.
one of the examples. We're going to lead into
Make sure,
what we're
look,
really talking about
Right.
here in a minute.
make sure that you're protecting life and property first. You don't want anybody to get hurt or anything to burn down.
It's
Not that hard.
pretty good rule of thumb.
Yeah, you have to think of you just think of like a risk level. Somebody getting seriously injured is catastrophic. That's like catastrophic event. That's a not to mention a butt ton of liability for you. I mean, I'm just saying, man, like that would be the biggest bummer ever to go to an event where everybody's supposed to have fun and somebody gets a life-changing injury.
Yeah.
That's not cool, man.
Which was very possible.
Highly possible.
Incredibly possible.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
I'd say the risk factor was significant.
yeah.
So, all right. So let's get away from the ice truck.
No, I mean it's a good point though.
Let's slide away from that.
Yeah, but safety is a big thing. Nobody protect life and property. Nobody needs to get hurt. It's going to ruin everybody's fun.
Yep. Good rule of thumb there.
Yeah. So all right. So I guess we can kind of dip into a little bit of like, as a competition team, this like the most thing other than planning and preparation is the cost associated with competing in these events. Not only do some of these events have entry fees, and it's just the cost associated with whatever you're cooking, right? So that plays a big part. And the reason we're discussing this, we'll wrap it all up in the end and tie it up real nice and tight in a pretty bow why we want to talk about this. But it's important for everyone to know that these things are not cheap. So these teams competing are spending a lot of money, if they're lucky enough to have a sponsor, fantastic. But still, time is money. So you're still spending time going out and trying to get sponsors to sponsor your event, your team. So yeah, time is money. But the people that do not have sponsors, it's a lot of money. This is an expensive hobby to have. And, there's a lot of pride that goes into cooking, and, especially Cajun and Creole culture. We're very prideful. We're very proud of everything that we cook. So we want to make sure that we're cooking to the best of our abilities with the best ingredients possible, right? So it's not cheap ingredients that we're using, right? Y'all agree?
I agree. I mean,
100%.
When we did the crawfish biscuit, the blind Cajun cooks, we spent like, I don't know, easily $100 in crawfish.
Just in crawfish.
That was just crawfish. That's not even counting the other stuff that we made to go with it, the rice and that's cheap anyways. But we had other stuff and other ingredients that we had to buy. I mean, we spent I guess close to a little over $300. I would guess it was quite a bit of money.
If you factor in the entry fee too, don't forget.
Yeah, and that's not including the entry fee. That's probably just ingredients, equipment, and stuff to do. I mean, it was quite a bit of money to do that.
And gas.
Yeah,
it's expensive.
And gas. It's the drive there.
Exactly. There's a lot that goes into these competitions that maybe people on the outside don't understand. All the time and money that goes into this, and we're proud. We're so proud of the food that we cook. Here, just our team here at the Stern Pot Podcast, we are very proud of everything that we put out. And we want to make sure that we give people our absolute best, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So yeah. But that, with that being said, let's pivot a little bit and talk about like what would go into if someone was actually planning the event versus being a competitor in the event.
Yeah, so that's an important topic, because we talked about the money that we spend as a team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And please, everyone that's listening to this, understand that this is not a session for us to vent about some competition that we lost or whatever.
No.
No.
This is not about that. We're talking about what needs to happen across the board, right? So if you're putting an event together, you have to understand that this is your event.
Mm-hmm.
This is your event that you're putting together. You're doing this and you have to cater to a lot of people. You have to cater to the public. You have to cater to your volunteers if you have them. You have to cater to the people that's helping you out. But you also have to cater to the people that are making your event work.
Yep.
Nothing happens with your event unless those cook teams show up with everything that they've purchased and all of their time, effort, and money. Nothing happens unless they show up and cook good food for you.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
That is something that you have to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things that needs to happen in order for you to cater to those cook teams.
Yeah.
There's things that needs to happen in order for you to cater to the public.
Right.
Okay. This is not just something that you throw together on a whim. This is a huge responsibility because there is so much time, effort, and money spent across the board, not just on the cook teams, but on the public as well, on everybody that's coming together to help you put this thing together.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of responsibility, and it's important for you to know that. So as we talk about these topics and when we get into the main topic of tonight, you keep in mind that that's what we're talking about.
Because the competition teams, I mean, for lack of a better saying, are your meat and potatoes. They are what make up the entire event. They are the reason people are coming out there. They are the main event.
They're the people that bring the crowd. When they see certain cook teams cooking, they know that these guys win competitions and people want to come try their food. They want to buy their products. So these are going to be the people that draw your crowds in. So it's very important to make sure that your cook teams are treated with respect, that your cook teams are, the questions answered, that you not have meetings 30 minutes before, like turn-in time. Please don't do that, because we're in turn-in time. We don't turn-in time is so hectic. We really can't have anything, when we're coming down to things that we're trying to cook and trying to execute, when it's crunch time, we can't really be bothered with anything else. I mean, that's just how it is.
Right. It's a little bit, in a way, disrespectful to those teams to stop their preparation, to stop their planning for you to have some kind of thing. Or, needless to say, it should be done ahead of time. Like either the beginning of the day before everything is happening, or the day before, or just not during cook time. Like you're pressed for time. You have a timeline. You have a plan for when things are supposed to be cooked, when things are supposed to be served, when things are supposed to be judged. And to interrupt that is it's kind of detrimental to
it's very distracting.
Your whole plan.
It's very distracting when I have to go listen to rules and what thing, and I'm like, man, I got to turn in 20 minutes, and I got to make sure everything's boxed. I got to make sure everything's ready to go. It's kind of nerve wracking, and this stuff comes down to like maybe the last 5 minutes. You're dressing things up, cleaning your box, making sure everything looks nice. Mm-hmm. It's really important that And look, guys, the best thing you can do is print out rules. There are things called email and PDFs. And you email PDFs to people that they can read ahead of time so they can know exactly what the rules are.
Yeah.
And please, don't put them all in a little Word document with small. Nobody's going to read it. When you put that little small print and and people see paragraphs, they're going to start skipping. Big print, more pages.
So let me give you all a piece of advice. Brandon D loves to make PowerPoint presentations for our cook plans. That might be 40 pages long, color and bullet print. I mean, they're beautiful. Don't get me wrong. They're absolutely works of art.
Bullet points. If you can't say it in 8 words, it needs to be another line. That's my view of it. It's just a way to make things more digestible.
Mm.
If you have bigger print, you just flip through it, you can read it quicker. It just makes things where doesn't seem, I got to read all this crap.
Yeah.
Pictures and bullet points really help people read things faster.
Absolutely.
And I can't stress this enough. If you're running a competition, you are running the competition. You are making the rules. You are setting the guidelines as the competition sponsor, or what's a good, I can't think of a word. I'm having a little bit of a brain fart.
Host. I mean, you're the host of the competition.
You're the host.
Yeah, the host.
You're
You the El Capitan. You the man. You the man or the woman, whatever.
Right.
Whoever you are, you put on this competition. You tell your cook teams what needs to happen.
Exactly.
Right.
And be
tell them
very strict about what you want, what you don't want, and don't give maybes. Don't give, I don't feel like you should do this. No, strict, because you're gonna run into problems. It's disrespectful to the teams to not have strict guidelines for the rules of the competition. Like you give too much maybes, too many leeways, then you run into problems. And we've seen it in the past. We have, but like I said, this is all constructive criticism.
Yeah.
So just be direct. You owe that respect to the cooking teams that are there. They're your meat and potatoes. They're the reason why the crowds are coming out, right? Give them a box to work in, and they'll work in it, right? So
we don't like surprises.
No.
We don't like surprises. If
surprises are maybes or
maybe surprises or buts, exceptions. No, it's none of that stuff.
We don't have time for that.
Yeah.
No, we have to know when our turn. We want to know our turn ins. Basically, but when we sign up for our competition, we want to know our turn ins. Like, what time's our turn in? We backward plans. That's everything. Everything we do is backward planning. We don't plan forward. Look, food has to be ready for the judges' table at 11 o'clock. Then we start working backwards. What do we need to do to get to 11 o'clock? We don't, it's old military strategy, backwards planning. How much time we need to cook? If it takes 5 hours to cook, guess what? We need to start cooking at 5 a.m. because we need to give ourselves an hour afloat.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to go wrong.
Stuff goes wrong.
Right.
And that's the thing you have to ask yourself is like, can I execute this in the time frame I'm given?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what can I do to shorten my time frame given in a given time frame?
Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself. That's all questions we cook teams want to know. What time our food has to be in? What do I have to be ready? What do I have to do to be ready for that time?
Yeah. And not just that, like when it comes time for turn in or whatever, what kind of turn in are you going to have, right? Is this going to be a blind turn in? Is this going to be something where you present your dish to the judges? What is it? That needs to be very clear from the start so that these teams need to be prepared if they need to speak in front of the judges, right? You need to have something to say, just like when we did in Wing Wars. Barbecue Brand had something. He presented our dish, our wings to the judges, and he had a little speech for them, which was absolutely fantastic. So these little things that maybe a lot of people don't know or don't realize that cook teams deal with. Like, what is it going to be? Or is it going to be blind? Is it going to be, or whatever, So,
and we're gonna talk about that a little bit later as far as the responsibility of cook teams too, because I don't want you all to think that we're just coming down on these contest promoters or contest captains is what I'm gonna call y'all today. Cook teams have responsibilities too, but we also have to have information so that we can adhere to our responsibilities. But there's certain things about that, and we're gonna cover that in a little bit. But yeah, I feel like we've been talking enough, and I feel like it's time to jump into this.
Yeah,
it's time to jump into the real reason why we're here tonight.
Yes.
KCP, tell them why we're here tonight.
We're here to talk about competition judging and the problems that there are with it. And there are a lot of problems. Am I right, guys?
There are a ton of problems with it, and I'll start off with the one.
Oh.
You cannot, if you are a picky eater, do not judge a food competition.
So, when these competitions are in planning mode, most important thing that these promoters, these El Capitans, these hosts, whatever, the most important thing is quality judges, right? So what Brandon D just says, do not pick someone to judge if they are a picky eater. That is wrong.
I got an idea. We get that Facebook post, that Facebook meme was like, give yourself a point for every food you don't eat, that list. We give them that list, and then we score it. If you score over a 15, you're done. You know, maybe you can give out wristbands at the gate.
Judge the judge. I like
it. It's true. I cannot look. You know, you have to look at the thing. If I choose to judge, I choose to judge a food competition. I have to dissociate my own personal taste from what I'm presented, because they don't know who I am. They don't know who they're cooking for. I could be somebody because they bring me something and I was like, oh, I hate this. I don't eat this. Well, guess what? You're going to have to eat it because you chose to be a judge.
Yeah.
Don't deal with it.
Be a judge at a barbecue competition.
So you have
like barbecue.
Right. So you have to judge something on its own merits and whether it's executed correctly, not whether you like the taste of it or not.
So I will say
Association.
This, and I'm really this topic here. This topic here, I'm really trying to keep my thoughts together to where I have coherent sentences and thought processes, because it's a lot we need to talk about.
Yeah.
What you just said right there, Brandon D, is so important, because I've heard this from I heard something recently where they said something along the lines of, oh, well, some people just have preferences of this over that. Nope. Okay, listen to y'all. Come in quick. Y'all come in right quick. Okay, I need y'all to listen closely. If you're on Spotify, Amazon Music, listen closely. If you're watching us on YouTube, I need you to come in close to the camera right now. I don't give a shit what you like or don't like.
Correct.
It does not matter when you are judging a competition. That's going to be very confusing to a lot of you.
Yes.
Yep, it sure will. I mean, like, look at this.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Name a food you don't like, Brandon. Name a food you don't like.
Mayonnaise.
If I look, if I,
ooh, that's a condiment.
Fuck, I mean, forget it.
Yeah. But if I give you no.
Okay, go ahead, B. Go ahead. Continue this, because I like this.
No.
Go ahead.
No, but if I give you a sandwich,
mm-hmm.
If you're judging a burger competition and I give you a burger with mayonnaise, is it right for you to knock off points on my burger because you don't like mayonnaise?
Nope.
Correct. Because is mayonnaise an expected ingredient on a burger?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It is. So you're gonna have to put on your big boy pants, or your big girl pants, and deal with it. And just say, right. I don't like mayonnaise, but this is something expected on this. I can't knock somebody for putting mayonnaise on a burger, and I don't like mayonnaise. I can't knock them for that.
And if you don't understand that, that means that you're not fit to judge. And also, if you don't understand that, you're not fit to teach judges.
Yeah. So, like, look, I can tell you on burgers.
I know it's confusing, but you have to understand that.
Yes.
And I can tell you one thing. On burgers, I don't like lettuce. I don't like lettuce on my burgers. I've tried it. I've convinced myself I just don't like it. That's my personal preference. If someone serves me a burger with lettuce, I'm a judge. They serve me a burger with lettuce, and I eat it. Well, I have to judge the lettuce for the fact that it is. Okay, first off, is the lettuce is it dressed on appropriately? Is it the right amount? Is it the right texture? Did they put it on hot? Is the lettuce become slimy? That I can knock people points off for. But if somebody gives me a burger with the right amount of lettuce, the right cut, and is crispy and not slimy, I cannot knock off any points for that, because that is something that is, nor can I knock off points for tomatoes, pickles, onions, or any of this sort. any sort of those things that I may not like on a burger, you can expect to get a burger with this stuff on it. It's going to happen
because
it's a traditional ingredient.
Does it work?
Correct.
Are the flavors proper? You're making a burger, right? Someone gives me a burger and it has pickles. It has lettuce on it. It has tomatoes and it has onions. I may not like any of those ingredients, but this is the burger. I chose to do this. I signed up for this. I chose to judge a damn burger competition. These are traditional burger ingredients. Okay.
Correct.
I taste the burger, right? Am I competent enough to understand that everything that I'm tasting works? Now, if the lettuce is soggy, if the tomato is this thick, if the mayonnaise
is glooped on,
I can take off of that.
Correct.
Because that doesn't work. You're not you didn't do this right.
Yep.
That has nothing to do with how my mama made that burger whenever I was 5 years old.
Nothing.
Yep.
That doesn't make sense. You cannot judge that way.
That is
you're only
talk about palate bias.
The main thing that you're judging when you're judging food is you're judging execution. You have to judge whether they executed or not, and whether what they used was appropriate or not. Mm-hmm. And your palate bias has to go away.
Yep.
Has to.
I mean, look, you could judge a competition thing. I hate beets. I can't stand beets. I really don't like beets. Or cucumbers. Don't like either of them. Not a huge fan of pickles either. If I get a dish and and it has cucumbers or pickles or beets, I'm gonna be like, man, I don't like this. But I'm gonna have to just judge it. I can judge a beet dish on what it is. I'm gonna have to judge it on what it is. Does it taste like a beet? Is the texture appropriate? Is the seasoning appropriate? Is it used in the correct form? Not whether I like beets or not.
Yeah.
Because clearly I don't. But right. I'm gonna have to judge beets. So what? Get over it.
Yep. It's just part of it.
It's just part of judging. You can't be like, oh my God, I don't like this. I don't like this. And another thing this brings up is, do your judges have proper food knowledge? What can they identify different?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the important part. This is why you have to have on open competitions, competition where it's completely open. Anything over rice, anything on pit, anything like a themed dish, whether it's beef or chicken, burgers, whatever. If it's just an open thing, you must have a description of what the food is and what is cooked, because your judges may not be smart, may not have enough food experience to actually judge a dish and see what it is.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's true. I mean, if you're judging a dish and somebody gives you something, I don't know what this is, and it also sets an expectation. Mm-hmm. If you say, like, I don't know, you're doing like somebody serves you like anything over rice. Somebody cooks a Thai chicken curry. Is that served over rice, right? Correct. Have they ever eaten that before? But if they don't know what it is and they taste it, it may be jarring because they're not expecting anything.
Exactly.
So you have to set the expectation. It has to be like, well, this is what it is. Well, I'm expecting an Asian dish. I'm going to expect some different flavors,
Right. So, yeah, I agree with you. Dish descriptions.
Important in opens has to be described.
Very important. And the question that someone has raised to me, well, that wouldn't, they didn't think that would be fair, because they thought that you could put in like seasoned with this particular person. No, that's not a description. That was used to cook. That's not the main. That's not the name of the dish. It's not describing the dish. That's an ingredient that you use. So yeah, I can see how that would kind of key the judges off to say whose dish if they use a certain seasoning or whatnot. But that's not what we're saying here. Like if you have a quarter pounder with cheese burger, versus a, I don't know, something grilled chicken sandwich.
Yeah,
it's a sandwich or a burger competition. Then yeah, I'd say you need to tell the difference, right?
Yeah, you say like, "Hey, look, I have a chili cheeseburger here. I have a bacon burger. I have I have a smoked burger.
Yeah.
Something. I have an avocado burger. I have a mushroom Swiss burger. Something to set some kind of expectation of
Right.
what
So
this
you
dish
know
is going
what
to
you're
be.
going, like when the
Right.
judge goes in, they know what to expect. They know
Mhm.
how to actually properly judge what is being presented to them.
Yeah, and a mushroom burger brings us a good point. A lot of people don't like mushrooms.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's
They
true.
don't like mushrooms. So if they get a mushroom burger, they is like, well, can you judge it? They're like, I made a mushroom Swiss burger. And you say, oh, I hate mushrooms. Oh, one. Is that fair? Is that really
It's
fair?
not fair because that's being critical because you have a palate bias. And
Correct.
that's not fair.
Mhm.
That's why.
And
That's why the form you're gonna fill out the picky sheet. Well, are you a picky eater?
right.
Oh no, you scored a 35. You can't judge this competition.
Oh
No.
And you know, and I want everybody. I want to pause right here because I want everybody to understand. Because I know people are going to be listening to this and they're gonna be completely against what we're saying right now. And there are, to a certain extent, there are cook team responsibilities that we're going to get into a little bit later, and we're going to explain that. But right now, we're talking about being a knowledgeable judge,
Yes.
which you have to be, especially with these, like you said, B, with these open competitions. There's just no way that you can judge an open food. You know, do you understand what that even means?
Yeah.
Means anything.
Anything.
Like how can you be a picky eater or not or have extreme palate bias and judge an open competition with no food description? That is insane. That is shooting a gun in the dark and hoping to hit something.
Yeah.
That's not even, that might not even be worth your time to do something like that. That's crazy.
I'm just saying, if you're a picky eater and you judge it, a food competition should scare you. And please, it should scare you away from judging them.
I'm not even picky. It scares me.
There needs to be expectations at one way or the other. Yeah.
It's just gotta be that. I mean, you have to dump your biases. You have to judge things for what they are. You have to have some experience with food. You have to have tasted different things. You have to be knowledgeable to judge food. You have to know what things are. And another thing, if you're going in a traditional competition and you're judging something, let's say gumbo, I don't want you judging everything against your mama's gumbo.
Extreme palate.
Well, my mama didn't put this in a gumbo.
EPB.
She didn't put that in a gumbo. But guess what? Your grandmother's gumbo was based on what she liked and what she didn't. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
And your grandmother is not the end all and be all of cooking knowledge. I'm sorry to tell you, disappoint you, but she's not. She wasn't.
Unless your grandma was Leah Chase. Shut up.
You just gotta say you cannot judge. Well, we don't put that in our gumbo. We don't do this. Your experiences with food do not define a food category. Things can be different. You know, we didn't put this in our gumbo. We never put that. What's that? We never put that. Yeah. We never okay, you never put it, but other people do. So I don't really give a shit. I don't care. It's like the question you have to ask is whether this flavor is appropriate and whether it makes sense or not. Let's say you're going into a gumbo competition, right? Open gumbo competition, which would be hard to judge. Mm-hmm. And somebody serves you an okra gumbo and you don't like okra gumbo. Well, guess what? You're going to have to judge that okra gumbo for what it is and not what you want. And you say, oh, I don't think okra gumbo is gumbo. I don't care. Okra gumbo is gumbo.
It is.
I want y'all to say
okra
this.
Gumbo might be the gumbo, actually.
It is the original gumbo. Let's get it wrong. Yeah. And that's not to discount the filet roux gumbo. That's not to discount it either, because that's traditional too. But things didn't happen. Guess what? Back in the day, people didn't have freezers or cans or jarring. They didn't have this stuff. Mm-hmm. So guess what? When you didn't have okra, you weren't making okra gumbo unless you had okra on hand, which you didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. And let me be clear real quick. If you make an okra gumbo and someone says, I don't like okra, then first of all, they can see the okra and you cooked it wrong. So I'm just saying that. You already wrong.
That's a whole different situation. Yeah,
That's a different
exactly.
situation. Because
Okra gumbo.
I've been in a gumbo competition. Now, mind you, there was only 3 of us. It was a work thing. 3 Louisianians in a Texas office, right? I cooked my okra gumbo, which I take a lot of pride in. And my coworker literally told me that my flavors were good, but he didn't like mine because it wasn't slimy.
Nobody cooks slimy gumbo. That's not how.
And
not
I
how
told
that
him
works.
it's not
It's not how-
supposed to be.
It's not how that works. Okay, let's see.
Y'all out here cooking slimy gumbo on purpose?
Let me tell y'all a thing. You want to know how to get rat shitted in Louisiana in your family for 15 years. Cook a slimy okra gumbo for one time, and you will never live that down.
I don't know.
Ever.
My grandfather, my pop made a slimy okra gumbo one time, and I'm pretty sure this was at my mother's 30th birthday party, and I still remember it.
And I bet he never cooked one again.
You that little slimy gumbo ball.
Exactly. That's what's going to happen.
I don't think he ever made another okra gumbo, to be perfectly honest with you.
No, you cannot make okra gumbo is not supposed to be slimy, people. And a lot of people will be biased against okra. I don't like okra. I don't like this. I was like, that's because you can't cook it. I'm gonna be honest with you. You don't like okra, you can't cook it.
All right.
But you have to think about that. It's a gumbo competition. You may get okra gumbo. It's a totally open gumbo competition. I don't like seafood. If you're judging a competition in Louisiana, there's a good chance you're going to get a seafood gumbo. High probability.
If you're in Louisiana in a competition, you should guarantee.
Expect it.
Expect seafood in whatever the dish is.
Exactly.
There is zero chance that you will judge a competition in Louisiana and not get seafood. I don't care what it is.
Another thing.
I'll put money on that. If it's an open competition, anything over rice, I will put money.
Expect shrimp and crawfish. It's gonna happen.
Oh yeah,
100%.
And if you rusty, definitely crab meat.
Oh yeah,
rusty. There'll be some lump crab meat in there.
Oh yeah,
always.
Mr. Put money on that. Straight Lajon partner.
Yeah.
Look,
we all not able. Just saying.
We got some other topics to talk about with this judging.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to take this over, Casey.
No. You have the most.
But this is a very passionate topic for me. So I just want to make sure.
Has had more experience in this arena issue. Take the floor, sir.
All right.
Wait. Time out.
Okay.
What's that?
It's gonna get hot.
Oh. Well, I spat on that because we stirring the pot tonight, baby.
Yeah, so it needs to be said. It really needs to be said.
We watch the scorch.
Okay, y'all ready?
Let's go. Let's hit it.
I got some things that we need to speak about.
Ooh,
Number one, I'm gonna need everybody that has put on a competition and has headed a judging area. I'm going to need you to get all of your little judges in check and tell them to shut up and to watch their mouth and to watch their face.
Yep.
Be quiet. Don't talk. Don't make a face whenever you're taking bites of people's food. Do not.
Very important.
Do not influence the person next to you.
It's not fair.
It's not.
Everybody should be quiet. It should be you and what you do. Nobody else is in the room but you.
Shush.
This is not a time for you to just flaunt your persona, your online persona. This is not a time for you to just make people laugh. This is a time for you to honor all of these cook teams out there that have put in a hard-earned money, time, effort, blood, sweat, tears, arguments, all them things that's happening out there. Honor them people and shut the up.
Yeah.
And taste the food and judge it properly.
It's
I mean, like,
disrespectful.
you know, like a lot of people, man, the people, this is their art form, man. This is what they do. This is what they live for. They cook, they work on these recipes. They mull over these recipes. They come up with, different techniques and
Yep.
game plans. And they are putting their art up for judging.
Yep.
They are. And for you to be dismissive of it,
Yep.
to be
Yep.
rude about it is ridiculous. And I'll tell you one thing. I'm gonna start this off with the scoring. I have been to a bunch of food competitions and I've tasted a bunch of food. A bunch is it. Some of it top notch. Some of it not top notch. Some of it just midline. Some of it I wouldn't consider. I said it needs work. Not one time at any competition I've ever been in to tasted food have I tasted anything that was less than a 5.
Ever.
Period.
I don't
Never.
know.
Maybe
Not
once.
one time.
Just once.
Not one time I would consider something that somebody cooked inedible.
So I will give an example. Why something would be judged, would be rated under a 5, right? The execution is not correct. If your food is not, I don't know, if it's not cooked properly, one for sure, if it's raw, that's DQ. You're
You
disqualified.
just get DQ.
Right.
Correct.
If you're technically wrong, DQ.
DQ.
Mm-hmm.
But if that dish is
Tell him, Zig.
no, that's moose.
Oh,
Definitely moose.
If that dish is executed so poorly that the ingredient that you used to actually make this dish are still in a raw form, and I'm not talking about chicken. I'm talking about stuff that you shouldn't even be adding, like cornstarch. If that, I'll just say, the dish that I tried was an added thickening agent is cornstarch, right? And it wasn't even dissolved. You could literally see the little white balls. And if you have used cornstarch before to thicken anything, you know what it does if it's not mixed well, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you know the consistency that it creates in the dish, right? So if you use cornstarch on something that's, I don't know, starchy, like rice, that's not a good idea.
I'll give you a cooking advice, number one, people. This is for everybody out there. And look at me. I want everybody to look in my eyes. In no situation should you ever have to add cornstarch to a fucking rice dish. Ever. It's already starchy, people.
that sounds
There's no reason
crazy.
There's no reason to add it. Why would you ever put cornstarch in a rice dish? It's already starchy.
It was awful.
You telling me you can't thicken it up?
That would have gotten a 4 from me. If
Yeah,
I was
I mean,
judging that
technically-
competition, this dish is not properly executed.
Yeah,
The ingredients that you use to make this dish were not properly cooked.
I didn't taste that, by the way.
Be glad.
I didn't either.
But I say I've never tasted a 1, and most of the things I've tasted have been above 5. Most of the things I tasted are 6 or 7s and above. Most of the things I've tasted.
So let me explain this, because I've been waiting on this shit here. I've been waiting to say this.
Please say it.
I've been waiting to say this. There has been so many times I have seen scoring cards where it's been from 1 or 0 to 10, and people have gotten 1s, 2s on texture, taste, all of these different things. Let me explain to you what a 1 is. And this is going to sound funny, but I'm being dead serious. Okay. Because we're talking about a 1 out of 10. This is what a 1 is.
10%.
I put together a dish for you, right? Let's say I have to cook you a bowl of jambalaya. I go to put the jambalaya in my turn-in box. Instead of putting the jambalaya in the turn-in box, I accidentally put in a scoop of dog shit. Somehow the dog shit made it in the box. That's a 1, bro. That's a 1. You earned that 1. Okay?
A 1 is inedible.
Completely inedible.
A 1 is inedible.
A 1 is not rice that you gotta chase because you put long grain rice instead of short grain or medium grain rice. A 1 is not greasy. A 1 is not too salty. A 1 is not an incoherent dish. A 1 is dog shit instead of rice, bruh.
Yeah. That basically is the equivalent. Like that's what you're saying. A 1 is.
And you have, if you are running a competition, you have to explain this to your judges. If they don't understand this, they're gonna just put these numbers willy-nilly on the page and not know what the hell these numbers mean. Exactly. But the problem is, and this is where it gets controversial. The problem is the people that's running these competitions don't understand what I just said.
Yeah.
So you can't teach something you don't understand.
Right.
And I don't want to shit on people today. That's not the point of this. It's just to make you understand constructive criticism, and it's to make you understand how important this is. This is the elephant in the room, y'all. Yeah. This is the elephant in the room, and it has to change.
And the reason why we talked about the beginning of this episode, the reason we talked about the teams and the preparation and the money that went in, that goes into these competitions, this is why the judging is so damn important, because these people put a lot of money, they put a lot of time into doing this. And you know what? To have somebody shit on your food like that is disrespectful.
It's just I'm gonna just say like in certain leagues, you are not allowed to give below a certain score without calling the chief judge. It's just how it is. If you said this is below, if you say I don't know what some of them is the 7, some of them is the 5, a lot of them is the 7. If you are to score something below a 7, you have to call the chief judge and explain the reason why this is below a 7. If you're scoring something a 1, then you can write down what you think and why it's a 1.
Yep.
Tell me why, because I'm confused.
Right.
It's nothing. A 1 is an inedible dish. A 0 is an inedible dish.
A 1 is mad disrespectful, son.
It is.
It's mad. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, because I know a lot of y'all are like, man, Barbecue Brand is fired up about this, man. Somebody must have gave him like some shit on his scorecard. This don't have nothing to do with me. I'm actually fired up about some people that this happened to, that I've seen.
Yes.
Food that I've tasted, that's some of the best food I've ever had in my entire life, got 1s and 2s on their scorecard.
Yeah.
That's why I'm fired up, because this can't happen, man. This is insane.
It's very, very disrespectful.
And that one, I know what you're talking about. There was no technical factor where that gumbo could have been scored anything below an 8.
Nothing.
With preferences, I could see how people say, well, but like there's no way I could actually say that scored a 1 is the most nonsensical thing I've ever seen in my life.
It was really the most disrespectful thing that I think I've ever seen ever. When we've been in either involved in the competition or as a team, or helping Barbecue Brand with a competition. That score was the most disrespectful thing I have ever seen.
Like personal vendetta disrespectful.
Yeah.
I don't like that dude. I'm about to screw him over. That disrespectful.
If it's supposed to be blind, I just don't understand.
I'm gonna say it like this. I don't give. I really don't. I don't care who watches. I don't care if they get pissed off at what I'm saying. I don't give a shit. I don't. If you judge that gumbo 1 on texture, you know absolutely
nothing.
Dick shit about cooking.
Nothing.
And you know nothing about gumbo.
Why are you judging then?
You know nothing.
The point that we are trying to drive
home. There is no technical factor that gumbo could be scored anything below an 8. Anything below an 8. Anything below 8 would just blow my mind. If somebody said it was an 8, I'd say, okay, maybe it's not speaking to them or something, But in my opinion, it was a 10 on texture. The texture was perfect.
That gumbo, hands down, was one of the best gumbos I have ever had in my life.
I'm a gumbo snob. Gumbo snob guy.
It was the standard. It's what you try to achieve when you make a gumbo.
It was absolutely perfect. In my opinion, that gumbo should have won that competition.
It's as close to flawless as the dish could be.
But here we are. I'm just gonna say it.
Executed to perfection.
I can get shit on for saying this, but what I have seen here in Texas, and this competition was in Texas. What I have seen, they don't do gumbo like back home. Right, they do not do gumbo like Louisiana.
They don't know.
So I don't know who they got from wherever to judge this and gave this disrespectful judge. I don't know. I'm still baffled by it. To be honest with you,
that's where. But see, and I'm gonna bring it back because y'all see that we fired up about this. But this is where I want to bring it back to help you understand that gumbo wasn't made in Texas.
No,
y'all don't know nothing about gumbo. So if you're gonna have a competition where you're judging something that a dish that that's not native to you, there are steps that you need to take in order to make sure that you're doing this properly to honor the people that spending their hard-earned money, time, and energy into doing this, right?
Exactly.
That's common. That's courtesy. Like, you're supposed to do that. Okay. Right. Gumbo is not native to us. Who does gumbo the best? Ask anybody in the world who does gumbo the best. Besides, some people may say Africa, but ask anybody in the nation, they're gonna tell you Louisiana. Southern Louisiana is where it's at with gumbo.
Right.
Let's go talk to them. Let's go figure out what we're supposed to judge and how we're supposed to judge this so that we can make sure we're doing the right thing for these people that's coming to spend all of this money with us. How is that so hard, bro?
Yeah, I don't.
I'm gonna say this.
You're not going to get somebody from Scotland to judge a ball crawfish competition, are you?
No, you would never do that.
You have no frame of reference of what's supposed to be a traditional to that specific dish, right? They have no frame of reference.
I'm just gonna say this: if you have an expectation of gumbo, wherever you're from, you're not from Louisiana, you have an expectation of gumbo. You've had gumbo at other places and you liked it, you loved it, and then you go to Louisiana, South Louisiana, and taste gumbo, and it's wildly different, and you don't like it. You must accept the fact that everything that you had before that was fucking wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions?
That's true.
This is our dish. This is our state. This is the state dish of Louisiana. This is a traditional dish. We grew up making gumbo. I watched my mom make gumbo my whole entire youth. I watched my grandmothers make gumbo. I watched my cousins make gumbo. Watch all these people make gumbo. I've tried gumbo at different people's houses, and I've enjoyed it because everybody has a different take on it. It doesn't need to be the same, guys. It's a dish it's really catered to whatever you want. But there are some technical things that have to happen with gumbo that have to be correct. The roux has to be cooked properly. The roux has to be beyond a certain color. Now, that color, it depends on what fat you use. If it's a butter roux, it's a little bit lighter. If it's an oil roux, it can be anywhere from a brown, a lighter, some people like a lighter, all the way up to the darkest you can possibly get. Anything in between that is acceptable.
And see, that's where preference comes in at, right? Okay.
Preference. Yeah.
We're all humans. I get it, y'all. I get it. Mm-hmm. We're all humans. We're going to have our preferences. Oh, well, I prefer a really, really, really dark roux to a brick colored roux, right? Okay. Cool. But you know what? That does not mean if both of those gumbos are cooked to perfection, mm-hmm. and you just have to have your preferences in it, that brick color roux, it doesn't take that gumbo from a 10 to a 1.
No. Sure
that's what I'm trying to get at. That's what we're all trying to get at, is that your preference does not take a dish from a 10 to a 1. It may take it from a 10 to a 9. If you just have to have your preferences in it and you can't get past it, it takes it from a 10 to a 9 if all things are equal.
Right.
Not a 10 to a 1. You cannot do that. You cannot completely shit on somebody's dish just because your preferences don't match what their execution handled, right? What they executed.
And a brick roux in a chicken and sausage gumbo is correct. There's nothing that you can't tell me anybody or anywhere say that is the wrong choice of that's not a good choice for a chicken and sausage gumbo. It is a good choice. You could go darker if you prefer, but many people don't prefer darker roux for chicken and sausage gumbo. I know many people that make chicken and sausage gumbo with brick roux, with a red roux. That's their preference. That's my personal preference. I don't really go darker than that. Not for chicken and sausage gumbo.
Right.
I'll tell this quick story. I'll tell this real quick story. And I want us to kind of wrap up soon, too, because I want this episode to be digestible because I need everybody to watch this and listen to this. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell this story. So one of our friends, his name is Steve Zakiki. And I've told y'all both this story before. Steve Zakiki was a podiatrist in New Orleans. He moved to California, or he went to California one day, decided he wanted to get into winemaking, bought a vineyard, called his wife and said, hey, we're moving to California. I bought a vineyard. We're about to start making wine. That's going to be our new thing, right? Steve makes some of the best wine in Sonoma County in California. Like, his stuff is absolutely phenomenal. Love his Petit Syrah. You can't even get his wine. Sometimes you can get it in the store. Most of the time, you got to go online and order futures. So if he's making wine now, you're not going to be able to get his Petit Syrah, his 2025 Petit Syrah, until like 2027. All right. Mm-hmm. The dude can make wine.
Yeah.
We went to Sonoma County. I went to talk to him and he said, we were just kind of sitting around drinking, ordered a couple of bottles, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And we asked him if he ever goes around to taste other wineries. And he said, I have to. And we were like, okay, well, why do you say that? He said, because if I don't, I'm going to get cellar bias. He said, if I just sit around and taste my own wine, my own biased opinion on my own wine, he said, I'm going to get cellar bias and I'm never going to advance. I'm never going to be able to make better wine ever because I'm only going to taste my own shit. So he always goes around to taste everybody else's things to find out trends, to find out, if somebody's doing maybe a little bit better than him, if somebody's doing things a little bit different than him that he wants to experiment with, to understand all of the different genres of what he's doing. Mm-hmm. He needs to be able to understand that because he wants his knowledge to continue to grow.
Right. That's pretty smart.
That is incredibly smart. And there's no difference when it comes to cooking.
No.
Just because you have a bias and you have a preference on when you were younger and your parents and your grandparents and your auntie and your uncle was cooking food a certain way, that does not mean that that's the only way that things are done. Things Correct. Are done differently from what you're used to. And it does not mean that it's not correct. It is correct.
Right.
You just need to understand that. You need to come to terms with the fact that it is correct. So your palate needs to enhance, especially if you're judging. It's your responsibility. Mm-hmm. And it's your responsibility if you're doing these judging contests, or if you're doing these contests and you're capturing judges to judge these contests, it's your responsibility to make your judges understand what I just said.
Exactly.
Y'all could be mad at me all you want. I really don't give a shit because I'm upset about this. It's the elephant in the room and it needs to change.
Yeah, it sure does. It sure does. I can tell you one thing. When you get a box, if you're a judge, you get a box, unopened box, and it's presented in front of you. What does that box start off as, B?
A 10. Correct.
That's a 10. It's a perfect because you know nothing about it. So as soon as you open it up, let's say you're tasting something. Let's say you're tasting gumbo. Gumbo's easy one. You open it up. Gumbo is like, okay, looks good. Smell it. Smells good. Looks like it's got meat and sausage in it. It's the chicken and sausage gumbo. Let's say that. Got maybe some tasso in it. I see some green onions on top. You can see that. You taste it. First thing you taste it. What do you taste it? Is it cooked correctly? Yeah. If it is, hey, say, gumbo smooth, no gritty texture. There's no raw roux taste in there at all. Can't knock off anything. Let's say you taste something. Well, it's gumbo, but it's a little thicker than normal gumbo. Let's say it's a little on the thicker side. That could be to a number of factors. One thing I have to ask myself, has this gumbo cooled? Well, when that gumbo starts to cool, it's going to start to thicken up quite a bit. So you're going to have to say, well, okay, could it be due to temperature? He said, well, possibly. So I have to say it's not served to me fresh. So I have to give it a caveat is it's got rice in it. The hot gumbo liquid is leaching starch out the rice and thickening it up. Mm-hmm. I have to take that into account. Mm-hmm. But let's say it's beyond that thick. It's a little too thick. Well, I'll say, well, it's a little thick, but the flavor's good. The cook is correct. I'm going to knock off 1 point for being too thick.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you do it. Let's say you tasted more. Say you taste another ice. Like, well, you know what? It's a little too salty. It's like on the edge, just a little bit over salty. So you take off another point. And that gumbo is an 8.
Mm-hmm.
Not a 1. It's an 8. They are competitions. There's like I'll bring up CBA. They decide hundreds of cook teams with 3 points. 3 points, 7 to 10. Nobody scored below a 7. If it's below a 7, you got to call the chief judge, and they got to judge it. If you keep scoring low, if you're a judge that scores low in that league, they will pull your cards out of the competition.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because they respect the cooks.
They respect the people that do that. They know that people come out there spend thousands of dollars cooking on rigs that they spend thousands of dollars on. They are dependent on these things for their income. They sell seasoning. Their reputations are at stake on these competitions. And you publicize a list of who loses and who wins. You can hurt somebody's business with this stuff. You have to be respectful.
Yep.
And I can tell you, look, there's enough discernment within 3 points to separate 150 turn-in competition.
Damn.
Yeah, think about that.
Yeah.
There are 150 teams, 150 cook teams, and they all got it with 3 points.
That's incredible.
No,
because they run a tight ship at CBA.
Oh, they certainly
because they understand how important judging is, and
is.
so I'm gonna play devil's advocate, then I'm gonna shoot the devil. So this is where I was talking about earlier, where we have certain responsibilities by cook teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna use B's example. All right, let's say that gumbo is a little too thick, so you got some points knocked. It was a little too thick and a little too salty, right, B?
Mm-hmm.
So we got some points knocked off for that. It took from a 10 to an 8, or maybe even a 7.5 if it was a little too salty, a little too thick, whatever. So as a cook team, you know that your food may not get taste until later.
Correct.
So what do? You have to make adjustments, right? That's what we do as smart cook teams is I know my gumbo may thicken up over time. So you know what? I'm going to make sure that my gumbo is slightly thinner so that it does thicken up to the right consistency when it is tasted, when it's cold. All right. And, of course, you can adjust your salt, blah, 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 whatever. That's how you do that. But at the same time, that's devil's advocate. That's where the responsibility of the cook team comes in at, where you have to know that if there are certain things that are happening within that competition, if it's an open competition, I have to maybe narrow my focus on making sure that the judges understand what I'm giving them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it goes back to what we said. Those small nuances does not take something that's a 10 down to a 1 just because it may be a little too thick or a little too salty. I've only tasted one thing in my life that took something from a 10 to a 1 because of saltiness, and that was those damn grits. And
that was bad.
Where was that again?
In Port Allen.
Oh man, I'm not gonna say what restaurant that was, but that dude.
No,
that little metal piece fell out whenever he was salting them grits. It was
the spoon started to rust. There was so much salt in there. It was corroding the spoon.
I'm preserved forever just for taking a bite of them grits.
There was enough salt in those grits to mummify a corpse. Right. I'm serious. And that's a complete failure of cooking. It is total failure. Total failure.
And the kicker is Barbecue Brand complained about it, and the guy said he he didn't remember if he actually salted the grits. That was the funniest
He
part.
did. Two times
Like-
at least.
Them grits
The
was
Pacific
inedible.
Ocean was used condensed in them grits.
Oh no, I'll tell y'all this.
It was 87.3% salinity.
Oh yeah.
Dude, it was,
Them grits.
think about this. Those grits were about as salty as seawater.
Oh,
I think there was more salt
I think
than
it
grits.
was. I think it was. It was.
It could have been a pot of salt. It sure wouldn't. Could be. See, that's a 1 because it's inedible.
Exactly.
Inedible.
That pot of salt needed way more grits.
Yes,
Amen to that.
it was terrible.
Oh yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
But you know,
Yeah.
it's you have to. It's, you know, that's the thing, man. You can't. You know, as a cook team, but as you also as a judge, it's your responsibility to alert a team when they have failed.
Yeah.
If they have made something so bad, you have to say, "Hey, man, look, salt level is insane. Did something happen?"
Yeah. It is, and it is truly unedible. We have to disqualify you.
Yeah,
That's what
Mhm.
you do. You don't, you know.
yeah. You just get at that point. You just get DQ'd. I mean,
Yeah.
like you're DQ'd. It's inedible DQ'd. I'm not
Just
even going to
have
score
some
you.
respect. You know what I'm saying? Just be respectful. Sometimes shit happens. You know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a bad cook, but that cook shouldn't have to deal with that kind of thing. Like if your stuff is, you know, you turn in some chicken breast and it's raw in the middle. You know. So,
Mhm.
That's because they can't eat it. It's a failure.
right.
For one.
Exactly. But
Once again, you just DQ. You're just DQ. You're DQ
Yeah,
for raw
don't-
chicken.
you
There's
don't
no
have
point
to
to score.
embarrass anybody. You know,
No.
it's all about being respectful. That's the thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's,
I need y'all-
it's a complicated situation. Judging is hard. I really do fear judging the food competition because I know it's you know, it's a lot going on. You're tasting a lot of things. You get palate blind. Palate
Mhm.
blindness is a real thing, guys. I mean,
Oh,
you'll notice that when you're cooking something, if you're cooking a lot of something that takes a long time, it's real spice heavy, you probably not gonna like it that day.
yeah. Oh, and let me add this because this is important for me to say too. I've judged. Okay. We're not just talking from one side of the fence to the other side of the fence. I've been on both sides of the fence.
Mhm.
And it's not easy. Judging is not easy. I'm not sitting here saying that, oh, you're just supposed to inherently know how to judge well. It's hard. That's
It
what these contest promoters and these El Capitans need to understand is that judging is not easy. It's an incredibly hard thing to do. It's like whenever I talk to people about being an operations manager at work versus being talent acquisition. That's two completely different skills. Just because you're a manager doesn't mean you know how to hire somebody.
Yeah.
You're probably horrible at it, to be honest with you. It's a skill and you need to learn it.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy thing to do, but there are guidelines and there are things that should and should not be done in a judging area. And y'all need to know that we have some things coming down the pipeline that's going to be revolutionary, and we're not going to talk about it right now. But
I tell you, the El Capitans of the competition,
be on the lookout, though.
Get your judges some lemonade or some Sprite to drink in between their tasting.
Or some lemon head.
None of
Life
this.
changing.
None of this.
No,
there.
Ghost in the Machine.
None of that.
Hold on, people. Get some lemonade. Get something to cleanse your palate to kind of reset it. Because man, if you're tasting something like as heavy as like gumbo or something as spicy as crawfish, you're gonna get lost in that, man. I mean, that's a tough thing to do. That's a lot going on, you know.
So I want to share. I want to just come up and share and be honest about something. I took a picture of that terrible dish. Can I share it?
Share it.
Please
ready?
do. Yes. Oh, I didn't know that you, man, I've been wanting to see it because I didn't get to taste it.
Oh wait, how do I do this? How do I share?
Click your share button down there.
Do I hit screen or presentation?
Hold on. Let's see.
I hit screen because I have it just as a picture.
Oh,
I see now.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Are y'all ready? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
I don't know if y'all ready.
Show us.
R.I.P. our Star Kiss sponsor, if that was gonna ever happen.
Look. First off, guys. Creole or Cajun jambalaya.
That
Most
was
people
not.
know.
That wasn't
No.
it.
No, that wasn't it. That wasn't it.
The two
That is
there's
also a crime.
there are two traditional versions of jambalaya, Cajun and Creole. Neither of them have beans.
Or tuna fish.
Neither of them have tuna.
No.
That doesn't happen.
All right.
Oh,
And
man.
I'm about like jambalaya. I'm gonna be honest with you. I like both. I like both equally. I don't have a preference to jambalaya because if you make a good Creole one, a great Creole one will stomp a mediocre Cajun one. A great Cajun one will stomp a mediocre Creole one. If you make an outstanding version of both, it will beat anyone.
Hell
That's
yeah.
any other midi.
Bro, it's a rice dish, man. It's the most blank canvas dish you can make. If you put some fire ass ingredients in it, it's gonna be good. I don't care.
Yeah.
People talk about tomatoes and all of that stuff. Man, everybody got their rice dish in every country in every part of the world. Everybody got their rice dish. We got jambalaya. You got the Cajun jambalaya. You got the Creole jambalaya. You got the paella. You got the jollof rice. You got all of these different things. All that shit good.
Risotto.
I don't want to hear none of that, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Precisely.
All right. So I think this was a pretty heated discussion. We have definitely brought some
it needs to be talked about. It needs to be talked about. I don't care what people think. You can think whatever you want, but
like I said, here's the thing. This is to offer constructive criticism, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here you go. Do with it what you will, right? If anybody wants to talk, please leave us some comments. We would love to have discussions with you about this. If you have some ideas that you want to run by us, absolutely talk to us about it, right? So yeah, let's have an interactive discussion about this, in the comments or hit us up or whatever you want to do. But we definitely want to keep this conversation open.
I just tell people, look, if you want to learn more about food, go out and taste other things, new types of food, new restaurants, Asian, European, African, Middle Eastern, all this stuff. You're going to find so many things that you like, South American, whatever. You're going to find things you like and you're going to find things you don't like. But you're going to find things and you're going to learn.
At least
try. I can tell you something. Some things seem way out of the box, way scarier than what they are just because you don't know.
Right.
Yep.
All right. Well, with that being said, here's my little end quote of the night. This comes from Curtis Stone. Good food starts with good ingredients. Respect the quality of what you cook and let it shine. I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. We hope that you keep listening. And as always, keep stirring that pot. Peace.
Hashtag, man, keep your mouth shut in the judging area, bruh.
Yep. It's not a one.
Hashtag is not a one.
Not a one.
Let me rephrase that. Hashtag is not a one. Peace.